Hello YouTube, I'm Zach, you're watching ZakDTV, the place for interesting news from around the net. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a 3D printed supercar, then we have dancing black holes, and we're going to wrap all this up with a drone to reforest the world. And if you want more stories like this Monday through Friday, go ahead and click the subscribe button right over here, so that way you know when I put up something new. Alright, let's get right into this. Divergent 3D is a company that's developing new manufacturing processes in 3D printing technology, or additive manufacturing. And to demonstrate what they can do, they developed a 700 horsepower, 1,400 pound supercar that is 3D printed. They do this by printing the parts off piece by piece by piece, and then putting it all together using stuff like carbon fiber tubes and your basic nuts and bolts. The whole frame on this is pretty much 3D printed. They then take an engine from the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, shove that into the back of it, and use that same car's transmission as well. Now, while this isn't what they really want to do to make their money, they did make this as a development. They've also made a complete motorcycle frame as well, completely 3D printed. They took what was originally a 20-piece frame and made it out of 5 pieces. I think to me the coolest part about all this, though, is what this means for the future of car manufacturing. This would allow smaller companies to get in on it instead of having to build a giant manufacturing facility like GM or Ford has. You can just buy yourself a couple 3D printers, print your parts, and build your car. I'm sure they're not going to be cheap, though. This also has a lot like environmental impacts if you look at it too, because there's less waste. You're only using the material that you need to build the vehicle. There's not a lot of excess scrap metal. There's not a lot of junk to recycle. It's all being used to build the vehicle. And something I thought that was pretty neat about their design as well is that all the structural integrity is from the frame itself. So basically you put on non-structural body panels and you can make this thing look like anything you want it to. So yeah, there you have it. That's a 3D printed car. Back in 2016, scientists with the LIGO project recorded what they believe to be a gravitational wave, a wave in space-time. They believe it was caused when 2 galaxies came together and the black holes in the center merged and put out enough energy to send shockwaves through the universe. I'll tell you, the size we're speaking here is just ridiculous. Well, that has been a theory until now. In a paper printed in the Astrophysical Journal, scientists from the University of New Mexico say they have detected and imaged 2 black holes that are circling around each other into their death spiral. They did this using the Very Long Baseline Array telescope, which is a grouping of 10 different telescopes spread across the United States, to take images of galaxy 0402379. They observed these disturbances back in 2003, but they really couldn't tell what they were doing, if they're stationary, if they're moving, anything like that. So they've been tracking these for the last, 14 years now. Now that they have all the data, they can confirm that these stars are circling around each other. According to Professor Greg Taylor, he's a teacher at the University of New Mexico, he says of this that for a long time we've been looking into space to try to find a pair of these supermassive black holes orbiting as a result of 2 galaxies merging. Even though we've theorized that this should be happening, nobody had ever seen it until now. According to the data, they say that these black holes have a combined mass of 15 billion times the size of the one that is in the middle of the Milky Way galaxy. For perspective, the one in the Milky Way galaxy is only 4 million times as massive as our sun. I still find it mind-blowing how they can measure these things without actually taking a scoop of it or anything, you know? And the 2 black holes that are in question are 23 light years away from each other and orbit once every 24,000 years. So this is like kind of a snail's crawl around one another. The team does say that even though their measurements look correct and everything, they are going to check back in with this every couple years just to make sure and check on its progression, see how it's doing. And there you have evidence that one of the most energetic events ever theorized can happen. Alright, so let's get out of deep space and back to the planet Earth. The company Biocarbon wants to reforest our planet using drones. They do this first by taking a satellite image of an area to see what areas need reforestation. Then they send a fixed-wing drone in to take a closer detailed mapping to look for obstacles, streams, rivers, and actually plot the best possible way to seed an area the most efficient way. And finally, they wrap up by sending in drones that carry 150 seed pods wrapped in a special container to provide them with nutrients and whatnot to start them growing, that will go in and seed that plot of land. The team recently tested this design in New South Wales, and it was a success. This company estimates that by using their full force, they can repopulate about 1 billion trees per year. That number is huge. It's a great number considering we lose about 6 billion trees per year. So we're still losing some. As the company grows, they might be able to do even more as they go. I just love reporting on things that are going to save our planet. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. It's Wednesday now, so I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Be safe.